Welcome back, friends, to Build a Lot Acres. Today's a real sad day for the garden tractor community. Let's find out why in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing a few topics. We're going to be discussing, obviously, the main topic, which is that Norman from ISaveTractors is closing shop. We're going to be discussing my channel, what's been going on, maybe what the future holds for my channel. And we're also going to be discussing YouTube in general, some different trends that I've seen and things of the sort. So first, let's get the main topic out of the way because that's why most of you clicked in the video. So I'm in a number of garden tractor groups on Facebook, and one of those groups had a post from Norman from ISaveTractors, who, if you're not familiar, I did do a video about Norman a couple months ago. Basically, he has a parts business up in Maine. He sells parts to keep your old vintage garden tractors running, a lot of parts for Kohler engines. I believe he has, some different parts for other brands, but I think Kohler's his biggest thing. But he's been doing this for quite a while. I'd say at least 10 years now, maybe more. And I just got an announcement on one of my groups from Norman saying that unfortunately he's going to have to close the business. He's going to sell off all of his remaining inventory. And obviously it's a real sad day because he was kind of, in my opinion at least, a fixture in the community. There's not a lot of companies that sell garden tractor parts to keep old tractors running. And, it's a real sad day. I don't know the reasonings why he's closing the business. He didn't really get that far into it. Maybe in the future he will, but I don't know. I'm assuming it's probably either that it just, isn't lucrative enough. There isn't enough people that need those kind of parts. Or maybe he's just too busy and he wants to kind of focus on more of a better work-life balance and spend more time with his family, his wife, his kids. I don't know the reasonings, but whatever the reason is, I really hope him the best in his future endeavors and in the next chapter of his life, because he did a lot of good stuff for the community, and I really enjoyed him. And in addition to that, like I said in my last video a couple months ago, he has a YouTube channel that he's had for quite a while, and it kind of accompanies his parts business. It's called ISaveTractors. He does a number of videos on how to keep your old tractors running. He has some informational videos about different models. He has some project videos where he makes implements and attachments. And it's just a real cool channel. He doesn't post all that often anymore, but hopefully he at least keeps the YouTube channel up and running. So let's also talk about my channel, what I've been up to, all that kind of stuff. So I think the last video I posted was about 2 months ago. I posted a video about me leaving my job and starting my own business. And then I posted a video about a tool, a Deck Demon wrecking bar, which is a specialty wrecking bar that I could showcase that I used on a job doing a new deck. So the reason I haven't been posting as much lately, or nearly as much, is just the fact that I've just been so busy. The new business really took off well. I've been slammed with work, which is excellent. That's what every business owner hopes for, is that they get very busy and they have tons of work, money coming in. It makes them feel like they made the right choice, which I certainly feel that way. But on the flip side of the coin, that also means because you're so busy and you're slammed, you're not going to have time to do other things. So the free time I do have, I try to spend time with my family, my kids, my wife. My free time that I'm not with my family, my free time, I'm really trying to do paperwork for the office because I have to do everything. I'm the cook, bottle washer, hostess, owner. I do everything in the business. I do the actual work, do the paperwork, do the estimates. I look at the jobs, apply for the permits. So there's a lot of aspects, and a lot of them involve office work. So any free time I have, I'm usually in the office gathering paperwork together to get permits, maybe doing estimates, maybe doing emails to customers and following up with things, making calls. There's a lot of stuff I got to do, and it just doesn't leave me a whole lot of time to make YouTube videos like today's. With that said, I hope that in the future, when things maybe get a little slower, when it gets colder out, when the weather changes, maybe I'll have a little more free time to do videos. But that is where we're at. I thought about doing YouTube videos with tools and jobs, but the more I thought about it, I just don't know that I want to be filming on other people's property. I'd have to ask for permission from them, and even though some of them might be okay with it, it's still kind of an awkward conversation to have. And B, it slows down the jobs. So if I figure a job cost, which I do, I don't give hourly prices. I figure how many hours I think it's going to take, and then I come up with a total when I give them the job cost. That way there's no arguing about hours or breaks or when you were there. The price is the price. But with that said, if I have to take 2 or 3 hours longer than it should take because I'm filming, setting up cameras and all this different stuff to do videos on it. It's just, I don't know that it's worthwhile. Unless those videos are going to get me a ton of views and a ton of money, I don't think that I can really justify the aggravation that it would take and add to doing jobs. Maybe if I had someone that I could have film me while I'm working and I don't have to stop and be the cameraman, then be the contractor, then be this and that, I think it would be different. But I'm usually by myself in these jobs, so I just don't know that I can realistically film a lot of them. And like I said, a lot of customers aren't going to want you filming on their property anyway, so it's just not something I really want to do, at least at this point. With that said, the last thing I want to talk about is there's been a lot of announcements from big, huge YouTube channels lately that they've been leaving YouTube. Lucas from Peaks Peak actually discussed this not that long ago. I think he had made a video on it a few days ago, and he's absolutely right. I noticed the exact same thing he did. Demolition Ranch, which I've watched a bunch of Matt's videos. Luke from Outdoor Boys, I watched a lot of his videos. Me and my kids really liked his channel. They had a lot of great videos about camping and, different things. And the impression I get from it is that even though you reach the absolute top level of being a YouTuber and you have millions and millions and millions of subscribers, obviously I don't know what they make off of these videos, but I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions. But the point is, when you get to that level, you're almost basically a celebrity. You're like a movie star or a sports player. Everywhere you go, people are going to know who you are. So there's really no, quiet time or family time. You're a celebrity at that point, and it can be overwhelming. I'm assuming, I've never been in this position, but I'm assuming it can be overwhelming where everywhere you go, people, hey, you're Luke from Outdoor Boys. Hey, you're Matt from Demolition Ranch. It gets to the point where you just want your privacy and you want your old life back that you had before YouTube. So I don't know that closing your YouTube channel or shutting it down is going to change that, because you're already well known. If you take a famous sports player that retires and they stop playing their sport for 5 years, 10 years, people are still going to know who they are. If we look at some of the greats from different sports, maybe Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Joe Montana, these kind of guys, Wayne Gretzky, just because you stop playing your sport, people still know who you are. And I'm sure when you go into places in public, people know who you are, and they're going to, possibly come up to you and want an autograph or a picture or whatever. So I don't know that them closing their channels is going to change that. If that's the main reason that they close the channels, I'm assuming it is. Why else would you close something that was making you that kind of money? But with that said, sometimes I feel as a smaller YouTuber, much, much, much smaller YouTuber with only about 10,000 subscribers, sometimes it's just, it can be overwhelming. Not the fame part for me, because I don't get that, but it can just be a lot to keep something up, especially if you're doing YouTube. A lot of these YouTubers, they start getting popular based on a certain type or style of video that they may not really want to do. Maybe it was a one-off video they did and it just happened to get real popular, so they saw the potential, so they started doing more videos like that, and those also did well. Maybe those aren't the kind of videos they really want to make. And people do change over time. What you find interesting and think is important one day, 5 or 10 years later, you might think and realize that that thing that you thought was so important really wasn't all that important. I kind of feel that way sometimes about certain things. Take, for example, garden tractors. I love talking about garden tractors. I love collecting them, but as time goes on, I get older in years, my family continues on, and now that I have the business, I realize, at the end of the day, it's just a 30 or a 40-year-old garden tractor. Does it really mean all that much? It seemed to be, a lot more important to me 5, 10 years ago than it does now. So I don't know that I'm going to always continue the channel, because that's one of the main things with the channel is garden tractors. A lot of people seem to like them and enjoy them, but I do enjoy talking about them. But at the end of the day, I just don't know that I'm going to continue on with them.